friends. My name is host Eric. I'm the host of Talking with Nice People. I'm back again. I'm here to befriend the sleepless. A population of people, which incidentally includes myself. So, welcome. If you too are having difficulty sleeping, welcome to my party. Maybe you also took your speed too late in the day. That could be your problem as well. Hi, Zandy. Or you could be an ENFJ who just never sleeps. That's another possible reason why you're here. Why you're sleepless doesn't matter. The point is, being sleepless means I am here to befriend you tonight if I haven't already. Okay? Because we sleepless people have to stick together. I think maybe Sleepless in Seattle was one of the worst movies ever in terms of advancing the rights of sleepless people, because it divided us into those of us who live in Seattle and those who don't. I'm sure it does catch up with you, Zandy, probably like every couple of weeks, every 3 weeks or 4 weeks or something. You probably have a couple of full crashes. I mean, surely you can't just get by on 4 hours sleep every day forever. You must crash out periodically to catch up, I would guess. Hi, Michael Floyd. Has it been a long time? Well, if you can't sleep, then you're in the right place if you also are seeking to be befriended. So if you're sleepless but wish to make enemies, you're in the wrong place. But if you're sleepless and wish to be befriended on account of your sleeplessness, then welcome. Bienvenidos. And pour yourself a cup of coffee, because tonight, we celebrate what we have in common, our inability to sleep. I've never heard of the Jamie Foxx movie Sleepless. I do know, first rule of Sleepless Club is you don't talk about Sleepless Club. I do know that I don't like Jamie Foxx, if that helps. If you were to ask me to name a terrible comedian, he might be one of the first ones that comes to mind. I mean, I guess probably Paula Poundstone would come to mind, although I think it might be a little unfair to her. There literally is one spoiler, nothing to do with being sleepless. The spoiler of the movie Sleepless is it has nothing to do with being sleepless. That's very similar to the spoiler for the movie Naked Lunch. As they joked one time in The Simpsons, I can think of 2 things wrong with that title. Ben Kyle Mankin. Hi. Ben Kyle Mankin. I wonder why your parents named you Ben Kyle. That's a strange name. Was it a compromise? Did mom want to call you Ben? Dad wanted to call you Kyle? And you guys, they settled on Ben Kyle? Oh, and there's Botond Rugley. His parents wanted to name him Botond Rugley. That's why they named him that. Obviously. It's not as complicated as Ben Kyle Mankin's story. You watched some Eastwood films today. What do you think this is on my pants? You got 3 guesses: manseed, caulk, or something else. Chalk? No. This is actually where, after I use the knife to stir the coffee creamer into my coffee, I wipe the knife on my pants there. I get these. Delightful white leavings. But manseed was a good guess. You know, if you were to say, who of all in all of human history, which person is most famously associated for having manseed on their clothes? I think everybody would give the same answer. Anybody want to volunteer an answer here? If you were to answer the question, what one human being in human history is most associated or famous with having manseed on their clothes? Well, Michael Floyd got it in the first guess. She's human history's poster child of getting cum on your clothes. How sad for her. But how hilarious, too. It's like in 200 years or something, people, when they get cum on their dress, they're going to say, oh, I pulled a Lewinsky. They're still going to be saying that, you know? Epstein had a painting of Bill in that dress. You're going to get locked down again. I don't feel like the lockdown is even lifted yet. It fluctuates between more or less insane, but here in Los Angeles, we've never really had it lifted. There's still no indoor dining. I think their indoor dining reopened on November 1st, but I suspect it's not going to stay open long. I mean, it's not a federal thing, Michael Floyd. It's important to remember that. There is no federal COVID policy. And there shouldn't be, you know. It takes each governor gets to prove their idiocy independently of the others, or prove they're not an idiot. One of the two. You know, it's interesting the response to there won't be a civil war. But my thoughts on that, Dandy, and I'm kind of glad you brought it up, are that this is why when I say the country needs me and people get mad at me because it's arrogant or whatever, this is what I'm talking about. There needs to be a voice that does something other than insisting that one of multiple agendas and or the absence of, or just sort of a default to the middle ground, or some, there needs to be some alternative to all the bullshit which exists in the present status quo and defines the way we talk about politics and stuff and policy and public policy. There needs to be a voice come forth and offer a legitimate alternative to the existing narratives. I believe myself to have the capacity, at least, to offer that voice. And therefore, I increasingly find myself feeling duty bound to, and kind of weighed down by the reality that soon enough, I'm going to genuinely and actually start a serious political campaign for president, and it's going to be a big pain in the ass, you know? The inauguration, I think, is beginning of February, if I remember correctly. Well, here's the thing, Michael Floyd. Thoughts on COVID are evolving from a lot of people. The problem is you do have a substantial portion of the left, quote unquote, that has heavily invested in these false COVID narratives. And people are not accustomed to holding themselves accountable on TI grounds regarding their own narratives. And so you've got a bunch of people who pushed really hard for the wrong thing initially. And it's the thing that pisses me off more than anything else in the world. It's fine to be wrong, but just don't double down. It's like by this point, the people who were wrong initially, if they were being remotely objective, would acknowledge this and recant their previous positions, advocate for the proper position instead. Michael Floyd, you've got to fight for your right to party. I think nobody would dispute that. You called Trump winning when he was on the escalator. I don't think Trump's going to win the election. I think Trump's going to lose this one. My dad had an interesting perspective on his news conference. He said it was obvious you were watching a defeated man. No, it's not being stolen, Michael Floyd. It's not. And the thing is, we can know this for sure, Michael Floyd. Okay? We can know it for sure. Because, look, we had Bush, who, if there was any election that could be properly called stolen, it would be Bush W over Gore. Michael Floyd, listen, when things don't go how we want them to, that doesn't excuse us from being honest. The truth is, almost for sure, Biden's going to win the election. Not because anybody stole anything or any fraud or anything. Even Trump, trying to express these notions, can't come up with any meaningful examples of fraud or any organized attempt to steal the election. This is the thing, Michael Floyd, there's no teams. Stop being a team player. When it comes to politics, it's the one place we can't be team players. We got to be the big team player. It's not about Democrats and Republicans. It's not about left and right. Okay? I agree. People like you and the Democrats are a problem. Namely, you push your agenda and demonize the other group. I agree. That's a problem. People like you and the Democrats who are doing exactly the same thing to each other, that's a problem. Like your insistence on breaking it down into two groups, one of which is demonized and one of which is warring against evil, that's the problem. That's agenda-based politics. Well, Michael Floyd, I have got this week. Strawberry banana. But more importantly, I've got this concentrate here. I've got some concentrate. I'm watching the Californians. This is some pretty good concentrate, brah. Let me tell you. Ooh, what are you doing here? What are you doing here? That's how that guy says it in the Californians. Bill Hader, SNL was so good. It sucks now. I don't know. I haven't watched it in years, but I've of late taken to checking out clips, SNL skits and stuff. I like the Californians. I like the lady who plays the main California lady. She's hilarious. She might, I don't know if she's the same lady or not, but she might be the same lady who does Liza Minnelli Tries to Turn Off a Lamp, which is hilarious. That's like the best Saturday Night Live thing I've seen in a long time. I mean, here's the thing. How do we know elections aren't stolen? We had Bush W. lose the popular vote and win on a technicality on a Supreme Court decision. Then we had Obama win legitimately. And then win again legitimately. And I remember my INFJ friend saying the first time Obama won, this is going off script as far as the puppet masters are concerned. And then we had Trump win over Hillary Clinton. Now, who can tell me that these things are fixed? There's no consistency at all. Oh, well, okay, Michael Floyd, you're right there. But that's the Democrats who stole it from Bernie. Remember, and it was Genexio who corrected me on this. Primaries are the party's business. They're not actually elections. That's the Democrats who did that. What did Hillary go super shady, evil, dark, bad person in the way that she dealt with the superdelegates and the dispatching of primary votes in the primary elections? Yes, absolutely. That was awful. But that's all within the Democratic Party. That has nothing to do with anybody outside the Democratic Party. And it's not actually, it's like, I used to say, she's a criminal. That's not illegal, actually. That's, the parties can pick their candidate however they want. They don't even have to have a primary. But the thing is, no, I was saying the same thing for a long time until Gen Xio corrected me. I was saying, like, Hillary was a criminal for stealing the election from Bernie. No, she wasn't. Totally acceptable and legal. Okay, Michael Floyd. Look, I agree that this push to register everybody and their mother to vote is a bad idea. The fact is, there are many, if not most, people who shouldn't vote because they won't vote well. They are uninformed. They don't think properly. They're not qualified to make decisions about public policy. But and do I think that Democratic register and maximize Democratic vote efforts are shady and not cool? Yeah, but that's politics as usual. I mean, the thing is, the problem is you are the problem. You are the problem. Because what are you always focusing on? You're always focusing on how the other guys are the problem. You're never focusing on what your team is doing wrong. You're being a team player instead of a specificist. So if you think immigration laws are bad, then the way to do that is to argue why certain kinds of immigration laws are bad or good. But when you make it about something irrelevant, like how awful these people are for supporting the wrong thing, then you are the problem. I mean, I'm running for president in 2024, and Trump stands no chance against me. No, I don't think the election was stolen. You'll note that nobody who's on the side of the winner ever seems to say the election was stolen. So let's say I support Biden and Biden wins. Somehow I don't ever seem to think that the election was stolen. But let's say I support Trump and Biden wins. Well, then the election was stolen. Right? So, Michael Floyd, if you think the election is going to be stolen, or anybody else here, Alex, thinks the election is going to be stolen, then tell me now you say if Biden wins, the election is stolen. Well, if Trump wins, then what happens? Was the election not stolen? The thing is, if you're going to say the election was stolen, then it's stolen no matter who wins, right? Because you have good reason to think that the election is illegitimate, that shady shit's going on. And that delegitimizes the results no matter who wins. So if, in fact, you think that we need to do another election because this one is illegitimate, then you need to have that position before you know who wins. Because frankly, Michael Floyd, I think if Trump were well ahead, you wouldn't be complaining about a stolen election. And what does that tell us both? The election is not stolen. You're just upset. You don't like the results. My political views are I am a specificist. I believe that the problem is agenda politics. The problem is thinking that we need to elect an agenda. The solution is we need to elect an individual who addresses the public's business as it ought to be addressed in a fundamentally patriotic and nonpartisan fashion, on an issue-by-issue basis, according to a holistic set of calculus criteria, including both principled and utilitarian calculi. And so my political views are that policy should be treated as the serious business it is. And it should be determined with the serious kind of thinking that it requires. I've spent my entire life, high school on, basically, studying and engaging in public policy. I'm a policy debate coach. And if you want to ask me what's my political views in general, then I would say that too is a much more minor part of the problem. A better question is, do you reject agendas? And if so, what's your position on this particular issue? Or what would you do if this situation comes up? I can tell you that. And the thing is, if I don't answer yes, I reject agendas, then in my mind, that eliminates me as a legitimate quality candidate. So, like, if I could change the discourse at all, yeah, I'm a debate coach. I would say, let's begin by asking each candidate, do you reject agendas or do you represent an agenda? And to realize that that we don't want people who represent an agenda. We want people who reject agendas and want to do the work of the people to the best of their ability, and as a patriotic duty, right? It's like, I don't want to become president because I want to force my way on everybody. I want to become president because it's a patriotic duty to see that the work of the people of the United States, that the institutions, processes, and business of this citizen democracy gets done professionally, instead of in this haphazardly, catastrophically poor fashion that has become the precedent. You should make music videos for me. However, I will say I've come to terms with the fact that despite it being for a long time the thing that was most important to me, that the thing I'm going to have to sacrifice here as I move forward into a serious run for the presidency and move forward towards continuing to try to be more successful at YouTube and gain more visibility and stuff. Well, I'm gonna have to sacrifice some of the things that take a lot of attention from me, and one of those things is music. So I'm on hiatus from music for the next quite some time, probably, really. But the thing is, over the last 4 years of Trump's presidency, the left-wing media has given me no reason to give them the benefit of the doubt. Okay, first of all, I would say that it's always going to be the case that when an individual writes an opinion piece, and then it will be more or less correct. And it will also always be the case that things that are incorrect are offensive. It will also always be the case that people who don't evaluate on correctness won't find correctness or incorrectness inoffensive or offensive, but rather correlation with their own position. So the thing is, the critical thing to remember is that instead of you're pulling a Black Lives Matter. When we call something Black Lives Matter, we steal the legitimacy from the narrative because we make it about something else. So there's a genuine problem that needs to be addressed, and that is basically rule of law. That the police behave as though they're above the law a lot of times, and that one of the ways in which this manifests is they get away with murder. So that's a serious problem. It needs to be addressed. And of course, it's about what? Police malfeasance needs to stop. That would be a good name for that, right? Of course, if you call it Black Lives Matter, then you immediately give the cops an out. Oh, we don't need to be held more accountable. We need more training for race. And of course, if you're Black Lives Matter and you're advocating not any meaningful policy change, but instead defunding the police, if in fact you don't even seem to understand what the actual issue is, namely that the law is applied differently to the police than it is to regular citizens, and that's the problem, and you frame the whole thing as a racial justice issue, well, then you've taken what could have been a policy issue desperately in need of serious attention, finally addressed seriously, and you've derailed it into a clusterfuck of divisiveness. Now, Alex, that's what you're doing. When you're saying that they're wrong arguments, mean there's something wrong with this group of people. We don't need to talk about that. That's the problem. That's agenda politics. If there's a specific wrong argument you want to negate it. Great. Let's only affirm the right arguments. Let's only negate the wrong. Let's only affirm the right arguments and let's only negate the wrong arguments. And let's not even look to see if those arguments align with team A, B, C, or D. Because when we do that, we're doing ourselves and everybody else a disservice. In the same fashion that Black Lives Matter has helped the police sustain their bad behavior by co-opting the narrative unjustly and incorrectly and making it about something that it's not. You want to make a music video for me? I mean, the thing is, I have a song, a couple of songs that I got stuck in the mixing mastering spot and I couldn't come up with quite enough good enough mix or master. It would be cool for me to get one of those two things actually finalize the mix and master. And to a certain extent, that's just me being skittish as an attempt to get around and I ignoring. But I could certainly mix or master one of those things and then send you the thing. And then I'd love to see what you did with it creatively as far as what your music video vision is. If you want, I would totally appreciate that. That'd be fun. Well, let's see here. So Jeff Shaw says, you have good thought backed by I would enjoy having you by my side to present good thought. Okay. So you reeling, me presenting good stuff. So what's in it for me? When you want me by your side, shouldn't there be some incentive for me? Who are terrorists? BLM? Okay, but again, you're missing my point. You're missing my point. Using the wrong narratives is a big problem. Calling the problem with police behavior a problem of racial justice is a big problem because it's the wrong argument. Affirming wrong arguments does lead to bad outcomes in the real world. Now, note how I didn't demonize any group of people. What is your vision of a song for Eric? Oh, at Email Anthrax, I see. There's been more people to die in the BLM protest than were unarmed black people, while the cop police brutality is greatly exaggerated, at least left-wing media. I mean, Alex, the problem... everything that gets reported on a lot is perceived to be more of a significant thing than it is. So in some sense, you're right. There's the total number of police encounters in the United States that occur. The vast majority of them occur in an unexceptional fashion with no problems. However, to suggest that we're somehow blowing out of proportion a very real phenomenon where police can shoot people, and as long as they can make a even somewhat plausible claim that they were scared for their life, then they get away with it scot-free. Now, this rule doesn't apply to anybody else. That's not a standard that is acceptable for use of force. You have to have a legitimate cause to defend yourself. You've got to. There are strict standards for use of force that apply to everybody. And the fact that the rule of law is being violated, that those who represent the governors, namely represent the state, have laws that apply to us commoners, but don't apply to themselves. So that's the real problem. And that is a significant problem, major problem, not blown out of proportion at all. I myself was the subject of police violence, totally unjustified police violence. Now, granted, it was minor violence. He just shoved me with the butt of his gun, but it was completely unwarranted, completely unjustified. And all I was doing was standing there filming and saying, "Stop tasing that guy." So, Alex, that's not true. I mean, no matter, and this is the thing, when you are an agendaist, when you have a side, then you're resistant to the truth. I'm not. If fairness is TI things that make other types inherently unfair, and that's the case, then it is okay to assume a lot of people without TI aren't good people. Or no, what I would say is that TI is about fairness regarding objective matters. So, in other words, TI is not appropriately applied in lots of circumstances, but it is when it comes to public policy. It is when it comes to modeling in a rigorous way some understanding of human consciousness. David Sanderson linked to me today Chris Acutt, is that his name? Chris Acutt? Matt Acutt. Matt Acutt, I think his name is spelled. That guy wrote like a theory of everything philosophy paper, right? Except it's incredibly evident that he has no idea what he's doing. In other words, if you start with switch side debate, okay? If you start with switch side debate, you begin by understanding that argumentation is something that you learn by arguing both sides. So with every resolution, I argue both, have to prep out cases for both sides. The current resolution is a federal jobs guarantee. Do I support a federal jobs guarantee? No, but the case I've made supports it, and it even has a framework I don't like at all, which is to say it's a purely utilitarian framework. It rejects principalism as a means of determining the rightness or wrongness of a course. I have to argue that side because it's switch side debate. Now, if you begin with switch side debate and you argue both sides of the thing, then you understand what it means to do a good job or successful job of arguing something. If you've never done switch side debate, as Matt Acutt obviously never has, and avoids doing it, he doesn't want to be pinned down with a resolution on him on clearly one side. If you've never done switch side debate, then it's like, I mean, I'm trying to think of a good analogy for this. It's as though you only ever practice swimming on the side of a pool with your stomach on the ground until the day of the race where you go and jump in the pool and expect to win a gold medal. It's very much like that. You've only ever watched swimming, but you've watched a lot of swimming. And so there, as a consequence, you think, I'm going to be able to successfully win a gold medal. I mean, the reason that switch side debate is so powerful is because whatever case I make if it's going to be a successful case for my kid to run, I have to anticipate all of the best answers to my case. And so it forces you to be serious. So when I define something, it's operational. In other words, it's useful to distinguish this from that. The definitions that this Matt Acute guy puts in his theory of everything are not even, they're not definitions. They don't do anything. They don't clarify anything. They don't address any questions. If it was a theory of anything, a theory of everything, it would explain why he wrote a paper called The Theory of Everything, despite the fact that it doesn't, it's just gobbledygook mostly. What functions, therefore, much more like a theory of everything? Cognitive functions. That actually explains it, because it starts with the observer first, so it's more reality-based. Now, let me see what Jeff Shaw is saying. He's trying to do some FE work here. So I asked him, well, what would be the incentive for me? And he said, your thought is paramount to that working. Jeff, are you trying to be enigmatic? You're very good at gathering pulse. I just respect that about you. I'm not sure what gathering pulse means. I think you're transitioning from fully enigmatic to half enigmatic. You could not argue, though. You could have a thought of outcome that cannot be deterred, but it will be that will define you. What? Okay, you've gone back to full enigmatic again. I'm not sure how that's responsive to what I said in any sense. You have a thought of outcome that cannot be deterred, but it will be that will define you. I don't think I have a thought of outcome that cannot be deterred. Do I? I'm curious what you mean. And Jays are like Eric's their parent. Jays are asking like Eric's their parent. Asking what? Have you ever revisited if there are two types of ENFJ, physical and metaphysical? Seems like you're toying with the idea at some point based on your book, but you haven't decided. I've rejected it. I don't think that there's any reason to believe that there are subtypes based on the mechanics of cognitive functions that are linked to cognitive functions. I think we can successfully account for subtypes with enneagram in combination with cognitive functions, and that's a more successful way of distinguishing between MIA ENTP and MIA ENTP, or MIA ENFJ and MIA ENFJ. So what part of personality isn't cognitive functions? So whether or not, if I come at you like, hey, I ordered this yesterday and you said it was going to be here today, like that, right? Your reflexive approach to that sort of thing, whether you reflexively go, hold on, I'm sorry, it's my annual booming, or if you reflexively go, the fuck, or if you reflexively go, okay, wait, what's your problem? Let me solve it, or if not, I'm going to stop dealing with it. There's like three distinct kind of ways that people respond to that, right? That relates, that's one of the things that links to Enneagram, and it simply falls under the general umbrella of FIFE stuff and cognitive functions. So it's a way of making a distinction about how people link to FEFI stuff that cognitive functions isn't interested in and doesn't claim to address. So it's not like cognitive functions is failing to do what it's setting out to do. Enneagram's filling in gaps that cognitive functions is perfectly comfortable not addressing. So that's what it makes them complementary, you know? Because whether or not you respond to anger with anger, or whether or not you respond to anger with placation, is not an intentional manner. In either instance, you're going to be paying attention to the person, right? Whether you're paying attention through the frame of hearing what the words they say mean, or paying attention to how much anger they're expressing, or some combination of the two, or whether you're paying attention to how this is making you feel and how you can solve this problem, those are issues of cognitive functions. But whether or not you yourself respond with anger or with placation or something in between is, in other words, with withdrawing, confronting, or avoiding, is not a matter the cognitive functions addresses. Would typing be available? I mean, you want to hire me to type you, or you want something else? You can always, if you want to email me, I'm available to. If you're saying, can you hire me to type you right now? Yes, but if you're saying, can we get typed for free still? No, that was earlier. I see. The true topic of understanding. And Jeff Shaw, if you can so clearly articulate that this is nonsense and lacking in relevance, then surely you can equally clearly articulate what the true topic of understanding is. Yeah, you like to play this hot and cold thing. I've noticed that. So, I remember in one of your videos, you mentioned the cognitive functions and metaphysical and physical ways of showing up. Okay, so this is one of the areas in which I've evolved somewhat in my thinking. I think and I'm also somewhat undecided still in my thinking. It seems to me that NI and SI can clearly be described both as they express in real time and as they express in conditional time. Okay. So, for example, what I'm doing now, the kind of action I'm taking now, occurs in conditional time, which is to say the words and the meanings they have are the same, and the information conveyed is the same, whether I say it in 5 seconds or 10 seconds, whether I say it in 5 words or 10 words, if they mean the same thing. So the point is that when we look at cognitive functions, we can see some of them at least express as they express in real time and as they express in conditional time. NI and SI, for example, both is pretty obvious. SI, when I get into the bath and go, it feels so good, and right, that's experiencing SI knowledge of my own physical state of being in real time. When I'm keeping track of when the last time I ate, because even though I'm not hungry now, but I know I'm going hiking, so I should probably eat before I go, that's experiencing SI in conditional time. So that truth is not linked precisely to the moment. In other words, it will remain true for 30 minutes or so until I actually feel hungry. Then maybe the truth will change somewhat. So obviously SI truths in that regard about that anticipate the future are very wishy-washy, but SI truths about the past tend to be pretty reliable. So if I know the last 3 times I went to Wendy's house, I got stuck in traffic, then I'm not going to necessarily want to go to Wendy's house if I don't want to get stuck in traffic. I can anticipate that fairly accurately, maybe, but what I can definitely know is that I did get stuck in traffic last time. That's not going to be something I'm going to doubt the veracity of usually. Sometimes you doubt your own memories, but usually when you do doubt them, it's because you know that they are hazy. I don't remember if it was Wednesday or Thursday that I went to the doctor, but I do definitely remember that I went to the doctor. So something like that, So we can see SI working there in both real time and in conditional time. We can see introverted intuition in the same capacity. In real time, it's waiting until the precise moment, knowing when the precise moment is to release the arrow to hit the deer. But in conditional time is where it's most native, which is to say, NI is about I mean, to say it's about pattern recognition means it's about rendering the passage of time itself into an object that it can operate on the plane of conditional time. So what I mean by that specifically is NI can anticipate what an action now is going to do to a system as it evolves later, because its intuition about when to do something is native actually to the conditional space, although you can see it operating in the physical and make the distinction very clearly. And the nice thing about this is there's a clear, bright line. There's a clear difference between experiencing something in real time and dealing with it in conditional time. And it's not something anybody can dispute. It's observationally necessarily so, you know? It could be she's trying to kill you, Freddy Forgiato. Wendy could be trying to kill you. Jeff Shaw knows Eric. He's a good guy with intellect, just limited. Okay, so you know it's funny because I kind of want to make a video about the psychology of commenters, right? And it would almost be like if you're a new YouTuber, you can expect these things to occur, and they're probably motivated thusly, and you just gotta let it roll off your back. You know, Jeff, it seems pretty clear to me, and probably everybody else, that you're attempting to establish that you're on a higher level, you understand more clearly things, and are positioned to evaluate my level of development, right? So I get that technique probably works for you some of the time, but you have to think about when and where it's going to work. The 5 kinds of YouTube haters you will encounter. That's a great title for that, right? The five different kinds of YouTube haters. Jeff Shaw is one of the more common kind, which is to say, gauge of all knowing. Gauge of all knowing, it comes in and says, hey, like this is the textbook gauge of all knowing thing. Hey, you know what, Eric? You're really doing a great job here. You're thinking really well. I suspect with a little more hard work and if you want to reference some important resources, you might be able to get there. Might be able to get there all the way. Okay, well, thanks, Jeff. Thanks, Jeff Shaws of the world. The thing is, remember, Jeff Shaw at any point could articulate an actual problem with something that I'm saying. You could say, these words that you're saying, Eric, this argument is bad. He could articulate an actual truth that he knows that would be helpful to us, that he references but refuses to articulate. So, I mean, those are cues that you're not dealing with somebody who is interested in anything other than his objective, which is establishing some sort of perceptual dominance. It's backfiring on him. Now I am reeling. I mean, the thing is about that, it's like if you wanted to be taken seriously, you'd say you might get away with now you're being defensive. But like the best approach would be, so this is the thing, there are alternatives to what you are saying. That's the problem you're facing. You could have said, I think you're trying to meta up to avoid what I'm actually trying to say, Eric. But the problem is you're not saying anything, so you don't have that ammunition in your arsenal. What limits am I not accepting? Can I not accept my limits? I mean, it sounds to me like you can't accept that I might be able to transcend those limits. You know in advance that I will never grow from what you have to offer, no matter how genius it is. Why? Why not afford me some benefit of your wisdom? Could it be because everything I'm saying is right? I think so. But that's fine. Look, we all have our own growth arcs, and I have mine too. You're right. I need to grow as well. That's the wrong form of accept, Jeff Shaw. And if you won't tell me what it is, how do I know if I won't accept it? How do you know if I won't accept it? I mean, are you so sure I won't and can't accept it that you won't even test it by telling me what it is? Won't you just give me a shot, Jeff? Come on, give me one chance to accept your groundbreaking and mind-blowing truth. The thing is, Jeff Shaw left a voicemail for me, so I know for a fact that Jeff Shaw is a actual person and not just another account of an existing spite monkey. All right, Oliver Lynan, I might very well use this Urine Zandy's outline here. Number one, the expert. Number two, the spite monkey. Number three, the I married my point of view person. Yeah. Well, if you're going to take any corporate money, then I will never vote for you. It just means you're just another corporate stooge. That's the I married my point of view person. The spiteful ex, friend, partner, whatever. That's true. Jealous ex, former friend. Yeah. It is pretty cloud style. It's devolved into pretty cloud style stuff. But I think he's frustrated because I don't really give him anything to work with. You know, he may be extremely good at piercing people, but I'm actually not inflated in any meaningful sense. I'm pretty objective about my own strengths and weaknesses, and I'm not, I'm not making mistakes that he can exploit. So his frustration is kind of spilling over a bit. And Aruk's a lot different from me. Aruk and I have never gotten along, to be perfectly honest. So whatever, no matter how well you know Aruk, I don't think you should generalize what you know about Aruk onto me. Okay, I didn't have a chance to finish watching your typing. What did Eric type you as? At Oliver. I was wrong because I was kind of rushing it. I told him INFJ, but he's ISFJ. But I didn't test SI really at all. I was kind of going with those forms. Those forms aren't very helpful. Let me tell you that. Those do not link very well to successfully typing somebody if you're just using the data on those forms. I'll tell you that much. Biden rigged your mama's face, Aaron. Biden didn't rig the election. Jesus. This is the shit I'm talking about. So, Aaron, are you saying that if Trump wins, that Biden still rigged the election but just failed? Will that be your new narrative? Or will he no longer have rigged the election? Aaron, knock that shit off. It's not time for civil war. Be patient. I'll be president in 2024 and fix everything. At least, attain some solvency. Forgiveness is the attribute of the strong, Gandhi. well, I mean, you argued on his behalf in one comment there, LII last, better than he has in all of his accumulated comments thus far. So it's clearly not word limit that is precluding him from making any real arguments. It's a choice and or a failure to recognize it might be self-delusion. I don't know if he realized what he's doing or not. And you don't like to have it pushed on, Oliver. That's the other thing. Don't try to pound an ISFJ with the truth. They don't like that. Oh, I see. You're going to do me a favor and give me some hints? No, thanks. I'd rather talk to people who just say what they mean. It's a lot easier. I have no reason to afford you an assumption that you have such great wisdom that I ought to play your little game with you. I mean, I would assume, I could be wrong, that people who do have such great wisdom that I need to hear from would be wise enough to not want to play this little game with me. So, no. So, what have you said so far, Jeff Shaw? I've heard a lot of people say a lot of interesting things so far. What you've said is, I'm lacking in some piece of understanding that I need, that you have, because you understand more clearly than I do. And you've said that the reason why you won't tell it to us is because you're not going to make it obvious. You're going to make me work for it. So, okay. Thanks, Jeff Shaw. And if you expect us to buy that, that's fine. That's your warrant. That's your explanation. Great. You think Lavota's an ENFP? I don't think she's an ENFP. I think she's an ENFJ. I'm quite confident of it. She's got more polished FE than you do, Sean. That's all. Yours is getting more polished. Everybody goes overboard by nature with their dominant function, which is why I'm live streaming again, even though I just finished a live stream like an hour ago. But, we learn to shape it in ways that make it more fully realized. So I've learned to constrain my NE into a series of NI chunks rather than a rambling, endless progression of tangents. Your friends thought you were a very intuitive ESFP for a while. Zandy, I have met you. I have spoken with you. You are not an ESFP. Okay. I will not stand here and have my friend Zandy defamed as an ESFP when I know for a fact that she is no ESFP. Amen. So anyway, I don't know if you guys have heard, but I'm tall and tan and young and lovely and walking. Who am I? Trivia question. Who am I if I'm tall and tan and young and pretty or lovely and walking? Who am I? Thank you, RC. Wins the prize. 5 points for RC, who gets it right. I am, in fact, the girl from Ipanema. What about if I backstack FE your perception of me? Don't make me backstack FE your perception of me. What? Jeff Shaw. I'm not confused. I could be wrong about you, but I genuinely think that you're doing exactly what I said you're doing. No confusion. Now, that doesn't mean I'm necessarily right, but you're definitely wrong in saying that I'm confused. I'm unconfusedly right or wrong. You know what they say, as long as you're still walking, you're still young AF. I am still walking. I'm walking, talking, living, loving, learning, driving the good ship lollipop all the way down the street. They do have a similar amount. He might be in the SFE. Yeah, it's possible. The thing is, so far all I've seen is FE though. I haven't seen the disregard for TI that normally goes along with it. So he's not contradicting himself left and right, and he's not making random claims all over the place. His theme of attack and approach of attack is consistent. Like it's suggesting at his superior wisdom and knowledge, and plain gauge of all knowing. So I don't know. I did get a phone message from him. I do have a voicemail. He left a voicemail. So and it was around the time when he first arrived and sounded drunk. And so I think he actually is a new, distinct person who may or may not be in ESFP or whatever, but is definitely struggling to come to terms with me on sort of, like, I guess, social dominance grounds or something. He may feel as though I'm in his niche and doing it better than him, and thereby making him feel threatened. It's possible. I don't know. I'm not very good at doing emotional analyses. Shout out, Neil. Thanks for your compliment there about that video. I don't know if I should read. I mean, I could do a new one. That's certainly possible. I don't want to redo that one because that video has legs, so to speak. It's if you go to analytics, and it'll show you your most successful videos the last month, and generally, the first half of the list that's on the first page anyway. Is new videos from this month. And then the second half of the list that's on the first page is old videos that have legs. And then videos that are not so new, that don't have legs, but are newer than the ones that have legs, or below the ones that have legs. Which kind of videos have legs? Well, the thing is, there are some videos that I made as a conscious attempt to appeal to evergreen topics, so to speak, or videos that would get a lot of search results. And I'll go down my list here of videos. I'll go down my list of videos here. It says, okay, so in the last 28 days, number 1, Types Police, Queen's Gambit at 896 views. Number 2, Type Police, SVU, Marty Glenn, 868. Number 3, Type Police, Marty Glenn, 862. Number 4 typing session, Soul. And why is her typing session, even though it's October 22nd, 4th, and even though it's the most recent one in the top 10, no, almost the most recent one in the top 10, it's because she's a pretty girl. That's why. She's a pretty blonde girl. So that's what I think is why her typing session has more views than the other ones. That's the only explanation I can think of. It's not like it was distinct in any other particular way. So then, though, when we get down to number 7, the video is Sadistic Personality Disorder and the Meaning of Cruelty. 673 views. This is from 2016. So the first 6 videos are from 2020. Number 7 is from 2016. It still has legs. It still got 673 views in the last month. Then there's 2020 again, October 27th, typing session Zach. Then Mike Hart type police INTP. Then 16. So there's actually only one on the front page that's from before this month. But if I go to see more, I go down a little bit below this month, then I get on the next page, there's another typing session from October, but then there's Dawn Adams, A Sad Ending. This is a video I made explicitly to try to get search traffic. And it's got a very high, it's a short video. It's only 4 minutes and 53 seconds. And it's about Dawn Adams, the guy who played Maxwell Smart. And it has a high average percentage viewed at 65%. That's a high percentage because you got to remember, some people click on and click off immediately because it's like a mistake or something. And then another one that's from 2017, How You Hump, Sex Style for All 16 Types. Always a popular topic. It got 549 views in the last month. And then Asshole's Guide, which is what caused this topic to be a subject, why I'm doing this at all, that has 500 views in the last month. It's from February 2nd, 2018. It's only 7 minutes and 22 seconds long in the status quo, so I don't think I dragged it out particularly, although I could have done it a little quicker maybe. But I will concede that the 32% viewing percentage is low for a short video. So in that regard, I probably could do a better job of it and do a better job of maintaining people's attention. And then the one below that is another video from 2016. So, it is the case that some videos have legs where most don't. Another video that I made as an attempt to have legs is why Richard Dawson kissed Family Feud contestants. That had 350 views this last month. Oh, and I forgot this. All of a sudden, out of nowhere, something that I made in 2019 has become a, has gotten into YouTube search results for something. And the video is called How to Mate Your Chicken. Okay. Except here's the hilarity. Here's the hilarity. This video called How to Mate Your Chicken is not about how to mate your chicken for the rooster. It's a joke where I'm pretending to, it's a pickup artist thing, except I'm doing it with my chicken that I had at the time. And I'm saying it was, first you got to get her some worms, and then at the end I pretend to hump her, the chicken. But I'm sure that the YouTube search results are given to people who actually want to learn how to mate their chicken, not how to hump their chicken. You see what I'm saying? I have no idea, Jeff Shaw. What Eric, what do you think I am with regards to type? I don't know. I have no idea. I'd have to type you. Well, yeah, because I'm serious about it, Jeff Shaw. As I said many times before, I can't type somebody by the chat. I can't type somebody from listening to a drunken phone message. I'd have to have an hour-long conversation with you. You have to pay me $100, and at the end of it, I'll tell you what type you are, and I'll be right. And if you disagree, then well, you've been wrong this whole time. I'll be able to explain why and win the argument. And it's not the thing is. I never let my feelings influence it. I can tell when somebody doesn't want to be a yeah. I don't like it. I'd rather have the good FE, but I tell them the truth anyway, you know? Well, sure. I control the frame is what you're saying. Oh, no, I think what you're saying here is I direct the people in the questions. No. Nothing could be further from the truth. I'm asking open-ended questions, just trying to feeling around and seeing what they do with it. Sometimes I try to confirm or eliminate something, but also what you think is a leading question may be very well a question that's leading to see how they respond to a leading question. So, you don't know what's going on in my head. That's pretty funny, huh, Sean? Or that you get a kick out of that. Thank you for noting it. That's good FE for me right there. That's FE juice. Look, the thing is, and the thing to remember this is I've been accused before of always having to control the frame. That, the reason I'm always right is I'm always controlling the frame. Well, I get the critique. There's some fairness to it to a certain extent, but only if you're not comparing me against anybody else, right? If you're comparing me against some perfect ideal, fine. But I'm much more accountable, open, reasonable, and interested in hearing legitimate, actual things that people say, that even if they're negative about me. But there is a genuine distinction between actually saying a legitimate thing and just trying to play some sort of positional game, And in this case, Jeff Shaw, it's fair and accurate to say you really haven't said anything. You've not pointed out where my deficit area is, nor have you pointed out where, what this specific wisdom is that you could provide that would remedy it, presumably. You've made the claim that I can't grow from it. You haven't substantiated that at all. There's no reason to presume so little of me. If you're right, I would like to grow from it. So at this point, you're kind of painting yourself into a corner. It's not like you can blame me for steering the conversation too much. You're steering. I'm responding to you. You're on the attack, right? Or you're on the whatever. You're on the offensive. You're on the establishing team. I'm establishing shit. I'm Jeff Shaw establishing shit. You feel sorry that I don't see what? Okay, but you are necessarily trying to establish something, right? You're trying to communicate something, convey some information, correct? About me, and that I need to understand a certain deficit I have, right? You are trying to communicate, or are you not? Look, I acknowledge there's definitely a margin of error, and depending on the individual, can be insufficient time for me to type them, or plenty of time. Sometimes it's really easy to type somebody, and sometimes it's a lot trickier. INTP, ENTP. I typed Isaiah Root as an INTP at first, eventually came to see him as an ENTP. Rachel, I typed as ENFJ. She actually is an INFJ. I initially typed Kimberly as an ESFJ. She's actually an ISFJ. That's kind of an easy mistake to make, EI, because the tool function, the way it works, and is what you see at first. So it's your, it's like that guy the other day. I initially said you got to be an ENFP because you seem so extroverted, but he's an INFP. What type of hater is Demon Windu? He's what you'd call a special class of hater. He's a hater who's doing his very best to transition, kind of, but kind of can't help it. I don't know. Demon Windu has a special status in talking with fan people history. He's been persistently contrary for so many years, and half the time he historically 3% of the time he's like positive and on my side. 50% of the time he's playing the, well, you're right about this and this, but you're wrong about this and this game. Definitely positioning himself as the gauge of all knowing. Then the other 47% of the time he would get like nasty, but of late those percentages have changed. So I think he's making an effort. I made an effort too. It's like I've engaged with him a lot. In other words, at the beginning, when I used to be more reactive, I would make video responses when he'd leave comments and be like, you're wrong. You know how I am. So, and I made multiple, overtures to say, hey, can we just put away the combativeness and actually talk to each other a little bit here? I don't need to be dominant. I'm not trying to be dominant. Of course I was, in those videos, but then after the fact that as a typical of an FI person, hey, I know I just launched this full frontal FI attack, but I'm sure you're over that by now. So, but he's FI polar too, I think. So, anyway, I think he's making an effort. Okay. Thanks, Jeff. Appreciate that. Can I ask why? I mean, well, what do you mean by dominant? And why do you think I can't be dominant? Right. It's another secret he can't tell. Jeff Shaw's a man of many secrets. Man of many secrets. Jeff Shaw, I got a secret for you. Don't tell anybody. Let's see here. What are we talking about this evening? Besides my myriad failures as a human being, my inadequacies. They're deep-seated inadequacies. I don't think it's possible for me to address them. I'm just fundamentally flawed. Jeff Shaw's core message is, there is something wrong with me. Yeah, that's the shtick. Keep learning, buddy. Go get him, Tiger. I'm afraid of going all in and being dominant. Jeff Shaw, I wonder if you've ever seen the video entitled Host Eric yells at people. I mean, even though maybe I should follow your lead and be enigmatic and not provide examples of things, I think I'll share the link. Host Eric yells at people. It's not a deceptive title. I'd call it a totally accurate title. Accurately describes the contents of the video. Rather a fantastic video, if I do say so myself. Said part 1, but of course I never followed through and made a part 2. Well, I mean, I could find plenty of clips if I looked for them, but you know, that's life in the fast lane, as that guy from the Eagles once said. I am terrified of the all-in. This is gonna sting. It's really gonna sting for you.
Look before, you're not listening to me. You don't even.
Yeah, what happened?
We don't even owe the landlord for
We don't
over 20
owe
years.
anybody money. We don't owe you money.
Okay. I'm gonna let you slide in the following way. I'm gonna leave now. Hey, now look, I'm not saying you want to. Note that I said this. I do not listen to my words. Win this argument with bullshit, you're sadly mistaken.
I'm not winning this argument by bullshit.
I've given you multiple reasons why that point is false. You've answered none of them. For the purpose of this argument, that point is false. It is bullshit. You can't answer those responses. It's bullshit.
Can you guarantee?
I don't have to guarantee anything. You have my fucking money.
The problem is that.
Those are my clients.
I know your client, but they
those
don't
are
know.
my clients paying me for my services to be debaters representing not Paramount but Autonomy Debate School. When they go to check out the schedule, they don't go to Paramount.com. They go to AutonomyDebate.com.
Now we're talking about don't yell, okay?
Hey, you are ignoring me. Why am I yelling? Because I'm giving you answers to your point and you are ignoring it. You are ignoring my point, sir. That's the problem. Not that I'm yelling. It's that you are ignoring my fucking point and you are holding my fucking money and making fucking ownership claims about it. That's the problem.
Boom, talking with famous people. Here, can you do that? You scored a TD in the wrong end zone thing. I don't know what that is. On a positive note, Jeff, tomorrow morning's sobriety will be less stinging than the last time. So, you know, you've kept everything generally in the field of play. Hello to you too, Torvis Shepherd. What's in my book, Sean? I don't know what the you scored a TD in the wrong end zone thing is. I don't know what you're referencing. I don't remember it. My SI is kind of a little spotty. I don't know if you've noticed, but every once in a while, when I'm feeling stressed out, I have been known to smoke a little bit of marijuana. Well, just because in my book doesn't mean I remember it. Sean, I've got like large chunks of books in my Google Docs that I started that I never got, and then I didn't continue, that I've completely forgotten about. I'm sure. So remembering this one thing from this one thing is zero chance. I didn't even remember ever typing Swift Eagle, let alone what I typed in when I mini typed him earlier on the stream. That that watching that video made my adrenaline flow. Seeing me so mad. It's part of being FI polar is that I don't have a great deal of control over, I guess, mirroring emotions or something. Yeah, he was ESTJ. And the funny thing is, when I didn't think you were giving me friction. I wasn't giving you friction about you giving me that. I was just riffing on it. I was just saying, I'll take what you gave me there and run with it, Sean O'Neill. Is it more like you scored a TD but we're playing tennis? That's what you're talking about, I bet. Freddie Forgiato's reference. Okay, let me look at it. Page 80. Tables. When the adrenaline flows, it's hard for me to not experience and display emotion. Let's see here. Okay. Oh, you got a TD in the wrong turns, right? So this is debate stuff. A turn is like okay, so like what happened with Jeff Shaw is he proceeded without knowledge, okay, and ran into a trap that neither he nor I knew was there. I didn't set it up. He had no way of knowing because he's not very familiar with my media. But he went with he decided, okay, I'm gonna have to commit to some sort of warrant for my argument. So my warrant is gonna be Eric can't be dominant. That's gonna be my attack angle. It's gonna be fundamentally you're weak is the under message, right? So unfortunately, as is often the case when people come in and try to make these general character attacks and stuff on me, I seem to always have a video that proves them wrong. And people go, well, you can't do meow. I go, well, how about this video here? I already did meow. And they go, it's one of the advantages of having 5,300 videos. So a turn is not what happened to Jeff Shaw. A turn would be if Jeff Shaw said, we know who's more wise. It's the one who says more enigmatic things. And then I were to provide evidence that I said more enigmatic things. So let's say I had a video up that is full of nothing but enigmatic NI bullshit. Then I'd say, well, by your own criterion, then I win the round. That'd be turning his criterion against him. So in the first case, it's simply he went with an engine that was easy to rebut. in the second case, he set a criterion that turned against him. Now, now that's two kinds of turns, but the more common kinds of turns are either impact or link turns. So what those are, it's like this. If I say, if we pull out our troops from the Middle East, then that will increase the amount of warfare in the region. Then to turn that as an impact turn, I would say more war in the region is a good thing. That ultimately that will provide the necessary momentum to attain de Tocqueville's stages of democracy, and that they need to kill their ways to democracy, because until they're allowed to naturally attain democratic city-state stage, then they'll never become fully functional democracies. So if I were to make that argument, I'd be doing an impact turn on the argument that removing our troops will cause more war in the region. They're saying, so we should keep our troops there. I'm saying, no. Well, if in fact you're going to argue that we should keep our troops there because of good impacts, then we should remove them, because removing them creates those impacts you said. I agree with that, but those are good impacts. On the other hand, it could be a link turn. You say that removing our troops will cause more war, but actually having our troops there is currently the thing that is causing people to have warfare. And by removing them, they will no longer be incited to such violence. They won't have a single enemy to rally around or something like that. That'd be called a link turn. So on the contention level, then there are two kinds of basic turns. Impact turns, in which you say it does the thing you say it does, but the thing you say it does is actually good or bad. And a link turn, it accomplishes the thing you say it does the way you say it does, but the way you say it does actually accomplishes the opposite thing. That's a link turn. And that explains turns. And so that's why I'm saying it's like you scored a touchdown in the wrong end zone. And note however, that with Jeff Shaw's argument, I didn't attain any offense with it. His case blew up in his face, but it didn't work. It didn't benefit my case at all, because I'm not really making a case, right? I'm just trying to figure out what you're saying. So a turn converts your opponent's offense into your offense, whereas a rebuttal just eliminates your opponent's offense. A rebuttal or a counter, and a lot of times a rebuttal counter will just mitigate your opponent's offense, minimize it somewhat. It doesn't necessarily get rid of it. There's always that second level of argumentation that says, okay, now that we've measured all of the various impacts of the arguments, whose total argumentational impact is the winning one? Which sides? And so in those instances, you say, well, I mitigated the significance of those impacts, whereas the significance of my impacts remain unmitigated, so they outweigh. That would be one strategy, for example. So if I change my name to Zolliver, we can all go to sleep. Zolliver. Zolliver is a good name. If I have a son someday, maybe I'll name him Zolliver. Except Zolliver feels like it needs to be followed by a the something. Zolliver the Enlightened, Zolliver the Great, Zolliver the Wise, something like that, you know. Zolliver the Enrobed. Enrobed in manseed, I emerged from the bukkake session with a large grin upon my face. Audrina Media, no, you're not my best friend. I'm your best friend? Okay. Well, I'm sorry to hear that, because I'm not a very good friend, really. I kind of, ignore people for long stretches of time. Well, there's that ENFJ ISTP document in the book, Sean, that talks about them as duals. That kind of talks a lot about ENFJs. I should make more videos on ENFJs. You know, maybe I will now. That's not paint, Zaylen Black. That's Manseed too. Yeah. These are my Monica Lewinsky pants. The reality is, I'll show you in a second what that stuff is. I'll demonstrate because I'm about to make myself another cup of coffee. I'll give you a hint. The nice thing is, it washes right out, I think. The bad news is it's highly flammable. What could it be? What could it be? Okay, I'm gonna ask another trivia question now. How he walks, yeah. Ooh, how he talks, yeah. Who am I talking about? Trivia question. You might also note, of course, now that he's a cool kitty. Who am I talking about? Trivia question. No, not the boy from Ipanema. Close, though. You're on the right track. You got the first 3 words right. You have a man bun? Well, that makes you subject to shame anytime the song Kill Shot comes on. People will identify you always with Machine Gun Kelly. No, the song is called The Boy from New York City. Ooh, coo, kitty. Talking about the boy from New York City. Ooh, the way he walks. Yeah. Ooh, how he talks. Yeah. I don't know. No, it's called The Boy from New York City. Okay. If you've ever been to New York City, I want to ask a question. I've been trying to sort of take a general poll to find out how common this is. When you were there, did you get caught between the moon and New York City? Because, it's never happened to me, but apparently it's happened to some other people I've talked to. Torvis Shepherd, Horse Mumbler, what are you doing? I'll fix that. God damn it, Horse Mumbler. You're not paying attention. Now, undo that shit. I wonder if somebody can. Could you link me to the place where I unhide people again? Please. I'm sorry to bother you. I can't ever find it. Horseman's gonna lose his rent for this bullshit. He's probably asleep. He's probably falling asleep and banning people unknowingly. Can you unban them? If not, then Mrs. Mom's gonna link me to how to unban them. It's okay, Horseman. We're Rachel notorious for that. When your girlfriend's the biggest culprit at something, it's not that big of a deal. Okay, so Zaylen Black, you'll see here in my coffee is it's filled with coffee creamer, this white stuff. That's not Manseed, that's coffee creamer. Okay? So then what I'm going to do is this. Stir. Chop. I cut the coffee creamer with the knife to make it go into the coffee. Okay. Then I wipe this like this, but then I go like this. And that's where the white stuff comes from. Sometimes there's more of it on the knife than other times. Coffee doesn't exist? Fortunately, I don't need existence as a prerequisite to enjoy something. That's one of my magical abilities that other people don't seem to share. It's not necessary for me to think that something exists to enjoy it. Okay, what am I Googling? Oh, that's right. Okay, here's a trivia question. You better shape up because I need a man and my heart is set on you. You better shape up. You better understand. To my heart, it must be true. Who am I? Who am I? Trivia question. Who am I? Oh, thank God. I appreciate the update, Bobby's son. Thank you. I'll make a note of it. So far, nobody in London has been caught between the moon and New York City, so that is consistent with the existing data. I appreciate the information. Who am I? No, I'm the one that you want. Ooh, ooh, ooh. The one that you want. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Ooh, yeah, yeah, yeah. That's who I am. Wrong answer. Let's see. See if I can think. Okay. We're going to do a little twist on it here. Okay. I got to handle you just right. You know what I mean. I took you to an intimate restaurant, then to a suggestive movie. There's nothing left to talk about. Right. Now, the question is, what would I like to get? That's the question. What would I like to get? No. Wrong answers again. Nope, not food either. The answer is I would like to get physical. I want to get physical. Let's get into physical. Let me hear your body talk. Your body talk. Let me hear your body talk. That was the correct answer. What I wanted to get was physical. But good guesses, everybody. Yes. The lyrics to it are funny. It says, I'm saying all the things that I know you'll like, making good conversation. I got to handle you just right. You know what I mean. I took you to an intimate restaurant, then to a suggestive movie. There's nothing left to talk about unless it's horizontally. Let's get physical. I want to get physical. Let's get into physical. Olivia Newton-John, you are a slut. I mean, I'm not one to slut shame, but Olivia, you took into a suggestive movie? I mean, you're having to put in a lot of work to get this guy to hump you. Are you sure he really wants you that bad? Okay, let me see what the next trivia question is. Let's see. Here we go. She loves to laugh. She loves to sing. She does everything. She loves to move. She loves to groove. She loves the loving things. And the question is, what is the way you need it? What is the way you need it? This is the trivia question here. What is the way you need it? I'll read the lyrics again if you'd like. She loves to laugh. She loves to sing. She does everything. She loves to move. She loves to groove. She loves the loving things. I mean, the question again is, what is the way you need it? All right, I'm going to give you a little bit more of a hint. Ooh, all night, all night. Ooh, every night. So hold tight, hold tight. Ooh, baby, hold tight. Okay, so now, again, same question. What is the way you need it? Any way you want it, that's the way you need it. Good answer, Winston's mom. You probably cheated and Googled it. I hope not, though. Oh, baby. Baby, woman, child, girl, I'm going to love you all night long. Woman, child, from the night until the dawn. Woman, girl, ooh, baby, baby, love you all night. What do you think? These are my perspective lyrics for a song. Yeah. Well, we were talking about Zeppelin lyrics earlier. Somebody. I think I was asking the question, who has better lyrics, Zeppelin or the Beatles? Some people said Zeppelin, but the NI answer is clearly the Beatles. Talk about some NI lyrics. Journey's lyrics are incredibly simple, right? She loves to laugh. She loves to sing. She does everything. She loves to move. She loves to groove. She loves the lovin' things. What? All night, all night. Do every night. Hold tight, hold tight. Hold tight. Any way you want it, that's the way you need it. Any way you want it, she said. Any way you want it, that's the way you need it. Any way you want it. I was alone. I never knew what good love could do. Oh, then we touched. Then we sang about loving things. What? Those are some strange lyrics. Apple bottom jeans, boots with the fur. The whole club was looking at her. She hit the floor. Next thing you know, shorty got low, 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 low. You wish all girls could be California girls? Shawty did get low, low, low. It's true. If in fact you can find me in the club with a bottle full of bub, then what day must it be? It's an easy one. What day must it be? If in fact you can find me in the club with a bottle full of bub, what day must... That's right, Bobby son. It's my birthday. Go, shawty. It's my birthday. And we're going to party like it's my birthday. Okay, let me see. let's see. Okay, so if I look in my mirror and there's not a jacker in sight, and I know that everything is all right, what can we conclude about today? It's another easy one. If, in fact, it is the case that looking in the mirror, not a jacker in sight, everything all right, if, in fact, I got a beat from Kim and she can fuck all night, what can we conclude about today? Yes, I am familiar with that song. And my response to that song is, indeed, it is getting so hot. I will take my clothes off. It's going to be a good day. That's right, Corbin. It's going to be a good day. You're not going to need to use your AK probably. But I think you're probably most excited about the fact that you got a beat from Kim, and good news, she can fuck all night. Okay, so another easy trivia question. If punk police are afraid of me, where am I likely from? Here's the more, or the advanced level of question. If punk police are afraid of me, which typology channel am I likely to be subscribed to? Hint, it's not this one. Grass Eater, you're right, Compton. So now the next level of question. Which typology question? Which typology channel? There's only one typology channel that's down with the... Who can tell us what it is? No, it's not right, actually. It's not talking to famous people. No, it's not. No. It's not that either. Listen, I'll give you a hint. Just because I'm from the CPT, punk police are afraid of me. So obviously, there's only one cognitive function channel on YouTube that elicits fear from the punk police. And that's cognitive personality theory. Harry is from the CPT, so punk police are afraid of him. Yeah. Somebody should let him know. In case he wonders why the cops are all like running in terror when they see him. It's that same enigmatic quality, RC, that frightens the police. MC Ren was the one singing that verse, most underrated rapper of that group. Yeah, he got the least love independently of the group, you know. Of course, Eazy-E died fairly young of AIDS. I'm Eazy-E, the one they're talking about. Tigger tried to roll the dice, but just crapped out. Is he the one they're talking about? Rolling down the street in my 6 ball. He had such a funny voice. Yeah, I know. Ice Cube was the well, I mean, there were 2 artists in the group, Ice Cube and Dre. And like real artists. Then there were rappers, right? And then there was Eazy-E. So Ice Cube's and I think Ice Cube's an ENFJ and Dre's an INFJ. Dynamite Hack cover of Boys in the Hood is so good. You're right. Which yeah, iconic voice indeed. So there was something important I did want to discuss here briefly. And changing the subject from sort of stuff. What I wanted to know is if, in fact, like I know, you don't want to step to this. It's the G-funkier, funked out with a gangster twist. If you smoke like I smoke, and you're high every day, and if your ass is a buster, what do you suppose will happen to you? What is going to happen to you if your ass is a buster? Freddie Forgiato, you're correct. 213 gonna regulate. Orange jeans got to regulate. Yeah, that's a pretty important song. It's an iconic song of a generation, you know. It brought people together. Indeed. You know, I've come to drop bombs. As a consequence, I have more rhymes than what? More rhymes than what is the question, Sean O'Neill? No, not than a bottle's got songs. That's funny. Is that how you hear that lyric? I got more rhymes than the Bible's got psalms. Word to your moms, I come to drop bombs. I got more rhymes than the Bible's got psalms. It's a lot of rhymes. How many psalms does the Bible have? Yeah, I hear things weird sometimes too. You know, it's like Rachel and I were talking about FI songs in the car, and maybe we want to put on that Natalie and Bruglia song. It ended up prompting, I don't remember what the order of operations was, but hey, wait, did we ever get back? We did get back Zandy, and who else got deleted? Torvis? Did we get him back yet? Did we save him from the abyss yet? Or have I completely forgotten about him? Let me look at see if Winston's mom put the link to that place there. I got to go to see. Winston's mom, did you ever put the link to that place where I got to go? Oh, unhidden. Oh, I see. It was never mind. Horse Mumbler did it. Silly Eric. I should pay more attention. Yes, you fixed it already. Thank you. Well, I wanted to include a Smashing Pumpkin song mostly because I can't stand Billy Corgan. I just when I heard him in an interview one time, I just wanted to run up to him and punch him in the face a bunch of times. So I decided to include that on the list. It's like, have you guys ever seen an interview with Billy Corgan? Has anybody ever watched him speak at all? I mean, okay, yeah, I'm curious. I now I want to look at it. I could only watch about 30 seconds of it, and it was terrible. Completely insufferable. Okay, let's see. Billy Corgan. He was like with his bandmates someplace and like talking about how they understand and like intuition maybe. Let's see. It was kind of an older one. Let me put in Smashing Pumpkins instead. I mean, I don't see it. I don't recognize it exactly, but it was maybe 2000 or something. Year 2000 maybe. I don't know. I can't find it. They were like standing around and he was basically explaining how he's not willing to sell out his authenticity, and they get it and everybody else doesn't get it, and he was just so awful. Just so very, very awful. The Watchmen? Have I seen that movie? I don't know if I've seen it or not. There's Lana Del Rey and ISFP. I don't really know anything about Lana Del Rey. I know she's a musical artist. I know the kind of music in general that she does, kind of like this vintagey music almost, like a return to the old kind of woman singer thing. Is that right? But I don't know what type she is. I've never heard an interview with her or anything. She does kind of like jazzy stuff or what? The beginning is the end is the beginning. Oh, that's a song? I see. If you really wanted to express, ideally, extroverted intuition with introverted feeling, probably your best example is Fiona Apple. But she's almost certainly an ENFP, not an INFP, I think. She might be an INFP. Actually, she might be. Her recent album is a real disappointment. It's just like it's so telling. It's like, okay, you have to have a frame. You have to not only have instincts, you have to have an understanding about music as well. You have to understand it through some frame of reference. She doesn't have an adequate frame of reference that says you need to prioritize NI to get things right, fundamentally in aesthetics. And she could probably overcome her instincts to self-indulgence if she had the frame of reference understood adequately. But she probably resisted because of the FI. She resists the frame of reference because the NI would seem to run afoul of her authentic urge to indulge herself in randomness. Because, when she does constrain herself, she's written some just absolutely brilliant things. Criminal's brilliant. Paper Bag is brilliant. But that's, when that album came out, I remember at the time going, wow, this lady is way ahead of their curve. And she was, and with people like that, when they pop out of nowhere and they drop an album that's just epic, that's why I'm still talking about Fiona Apple, even though her newest album is garbage, and not talking about countless other artists from back then. I rarely talk about Duran Duran. Why? Because they were good for the time, but they didn't attain that truth of timelessness that really good stuff does, I think that's a great comparable example, Sean O'Neill. I'm not familiar with the album, but I am familiar with a couple of songs, and I think that's a great example of this generation's version of that. She's this New Zealand hipster chick. That South Park had trouble making fun of. All they could come up with was she's got a mustache. She looks like an old man, basically, is what they said. She's like 17. But apparently, Lord Washington was like, "Oh my God, they were so nice to me. They hardly made fun of me at all. They even said, like, basically they like my music." That was a good one, right? So, certain albums do stand out as amazing, and I wonder if there's still a place for albums in the world. I reference frequently enough the album Blue by Joni Mitchell, which I encountered a lot of various albums when I was a kid. My dad had a huge record collection. Most of it was garbage, but I found the good things and I listened to them. And I could tell. It's like, I don't know. I fought it to a certain extent. It's like I wanted to like fancier stuff, but I could always tell what was good. Yeah, they ripped hard on Jennifer Lopez. They also ripped hard on what's that lady's name? Paris Hilton. What is his mom? I go through weed too quickly for it to suffer from those things. Paris Hilton got savaged, because Mr. Slave had to teach all the children, it's not a good thing to be a stupid whore. I am gassy this evening. That's what Panda Express will do for you. That's true if you harvest a large amount. You should put the bulk of it in the freezer. If you want to keep it fresh. Really. You cure it to curing point and then you stick it in the freezer. And it'll stay right there when you pull it out, and it'll be right where you left it, in terms of its dryness. But the other thing is, this weed is really dry to begin with. It's part of why it's on sale. This is $140 an ounce for 20% THC or something like that. Pretty good, pretty stony, but it's really dry, so it smokes really fast. Which is why I got the concentrate. Why? Part of the reason why, I guess, is that it makes your rolls last longer. No, you don't put it in ice cubes. You just put it in a Ziploc bag, the weed, and just stick it in the freezer. That's all. Weed's really easy. This is the thing. TE people can sometimes have a problem with weed. And the reason is they want to do too much to it. So Cameron tried to grow weed with lights and try to do a big complicated hydroponic system, and his plant died. Whereas I just throw it on the ground and hope to remember to water it and have big old plant. It's really easy to grow. It's like practically the easiest plant there is to grow. You don't need any special skills, knowledge. You don't need lights. If you can grow outside. Growing in the ground is a good idea because the plant gets a lot bigger than if you grow it in a pot. And then you get a lot more yield out of it. So it doesn't matter what kind of plant you're growing, even if it's designed to be indoor, you're well served to grow it in the ground. Now, here's the thing though. If you grow it in the ground, you're not maximizing the density of the bud compared against doing it well with lights. But the thing is, doing it well with lights means having good lights. It's really about the quality of the lights. So it's true that you can grow better weed under high quality lights, as I have grown weed under lights before. But it's not true that in general, if you're going to grow weed under lights, it's going to come out better than in the ground, because most people don't get that. Is kind of complicated. Well, it's not complicated. You just got to get the right lights. People try to half-ass it. They try to get around getting the really expensive, super incredibly bright light. And 2 of them, ideally, if you got it. Like when I grew with lights, I had a room dedicated to it with 11 plants and 2 lights, both of which, and it was like the surface of the sun in there was so bright. But those plants came out great. But and it's because they were on 24-hour super bright grow lights. Not some sort of compromised fluorescent shit either, like high halide or whatever it's called, high something halide, sodium halide or something. I don't know. The ones that are really bright white, like I forget what they're called now. Yeah, that weed was okay. It was pretty stony, actually. That was pretty stony weed. The plant was nice. Do I prefer hashish to marijuana or vice versa? I like marijuana. I like just buds most of all. Occasionally I get concentrate to make it a little stronger. Mostly. It also stretches out the bud. But hash is cool. Hash is the one marijuana product that has this kind of, it's different than the other ones. Like concentrates are concentrates. They're all some version of the same thing. And crumbles are crumbles. And bud's bud. But hash is this weird thing that's not a crumble, it's not a concentrate, it's not weed, it's its own class of thing. Tastes different, it tastes like hash. Any tips on how to tell if a person is an INFP or an INTP? Yeah, sure. You just take the TI test. So let me get you some DRPs. It sounds a lot dirtier than it is. When I say I'm going to DRP you, it's okay. It sounds terrible, but it'll be fine. I'm going to DRP. I'm going to DRP you so hard. You're going to dirk me? No, DRP, I said. What's that stand for? Deductive reasoning problem. Oh, yeah. So, are you ready for a really hot and intense DRP experience? Because I got one coming at you right now. This is sometimes referred to as the ultimate panty dropper. Did I copy that? Copy the link. Yes, I did. Done. Okay, now put it here. Okay. So who was it who asked for this? iMoxie. Okay, so listen, iMoxie. If you are wearing panties currently, get ready to have them drop. If you are wearing boxers, get ready to go out and make some panties drop. All right? Either way, panties are dropping because you're bringing the DRPs. Have I seen Emily's room lights? They are nice. Who's Emily? Emily's room lights? Do you guys have some sort of family that I'm not aware of? Oh, I'm glad I'm not. Oh, Bukoki. Oh, Pukoki. She calls herself Emily now, huh? She's never gonna lose Pukoki. You know, once you got a name. Like, can you imagine me trying to say, no, don't call me host Eric anymore. Call me Saucingtons. I mean, people would never stop referring to me as host Eric. How hard would I have to work to get people to start calling me Saucingtons? P. Diddy pulled it off. He went from P. Diddy to just Diddy. Did he? I know who she is as well. Her name's Pukoki, okay? Oh, he went from Puff Daddy to P. Diddy to Diddy. But did he? He did. I see. Also, of course, Prince pulled it off. He became the artist formerly known as Prince, which is a great name. I'll tell you who else. Who else pulled it off? Meta World Peace, formerly known as Ron Artest. You might have, you know, I should have asked you before I said the name. Do you remember Meta World Peace's old name? Ron Artest. Saucykins, host Eric. Saucykins. Would an INFP be good at solving TI questions? Okay, so I'm Moxie. Here's the thing. If it's like fish and water for you, and you're just like, oh yeah, these things either are intuitively like home for me, and you can answer them quick and easy. You got, you feel like you could probably win a contest at answering those questions. Then, and you like to be tested in that way because you perform well in tests that way. Then that's INTP. INFP will be able to answer those questions, okay? But they're going to have a different relationship with it. It'll take them longer. It won't be as like, oh, this. Hey, look at me. I can do this perfectly. I love these things. They'll say, oh, this is that black and white thinking thing. Chad Ochocinco. What was his name before? Was it Johnson? He was Snoop Lion for a bit. See, I don't think I ever thought of him as Snoop Lion. I mean, you know, Muhammad Ali. He was Cassius Clay before then. John Bon Jovi became just Bon Jovi. Will he eventually work his way down to just Jovi? Please. I'm just Jovi now. You know, John Cougar lost the Mellencamp. It's such a long name. It's like, how do you lose track of a Mellencamp? Mellencamp. That sounds like a retreat for large-breasted women that I'd like to be a camp counselor at. Yeah, I'm cabin leader at Mellencamp. Mellencamp is the spring getaway for the young ladies attending the Bresley Williams Institute for Large-Breasted Young Ladies. We have a spring retreat called Mellencamp. Here at the Bresley Williams Institute for Large-Breasted Women, we help large-breasted women become useful, productive members of society. Even though they're encumbered by large breasts, they too can be valued and they can produce wonderful things. It is true they have the deficit of so much blood going to the breasts that it doesn't make it all the way up to the top typically. But, that's what makes them such brave survivors. And that's why we here at the Breasted Williams Institute for Large-Breasted Women focus a lot on the things that they can do well. I think we know what we're talking about. Why do so many celebrities reference selling their soul, singers, etc.? I mean, do they? Are there a lot of them? I think if you were to look at a random sampling of 100 songs, you'd be very unlikely to find a single reference to that in that random sampling. What if I came knocking on your knockers? Would you let me in? Was that a John Cougar Mellencamp song? That's a great title. If I came knocking on your knockers. Bob Dylan, for instance. Well, I mean, when you're talking about somebody with as little talent as Bob Dylan, that's pretty convincing that something weird happened there. It's like, okay, Jessica Simpson, I can understand. Untalented, terrible singer, but, she was a graduate of the Breasted Williams Institute for Large-Breasted Women. And, the irredeemable cases we have to send off to St. Agatha's Refuge for the memorially burdened. That's right. We say, Baby Got Back is the hymn of the butt world, but here at St. Agatha's, we sing Baby Got Back Problems because her tits are so big. Bob Dylan literally did say it. Well, I mean, if we're going to go with that metric but forget about saying it, but just like, who is suspicious? Okay, here's some people who are suspicious. Hootie and the Blowfish. That's pretty suspicious, right? Like, did Hootie and the Blowfish really get successful on either work or talent or anything like that? Maybe it was work. Maybe they're a hardworking band. I don't know. But that seems suspicious, Hootie and the Blowfish being successful. Rock stars who allegedly sold their souls to the devil. Okay, so we got on the list of likely suspects. We'll have to subject to the Spanish Inquisition. Will INFPs care about accuracy and efficiency? A lot less so than INTPs. Efficiency will be more about equally valued in both, but accuracy will be more valued in the INTP, possibly countervalued in the INFP if you actually test it. Like, does it really matter if their words are consistent? Something like that. Okay, well, listen, I don't know about Jimmy Buffett's music or success level, but the fact that he successfully got everybody to not refer to him as Jimmy Buffet suggests to me that perhaps he did sell his soul to the devil. Jimmy Buffet is the natural way to name him, so I don't know about that. Well, I don't know why else would we all just sort of default to Jimmy Buffett? Okay, South Park made fun of him? Didn't know that. Okay, other musical artists who may have sold their soul based on their low quality. Let's see. Yeah, I've done life coaching before. People have come to me for it. I don't market myself very much. I don't push the commercial angle very much. I think Taylor Swift's got some talent, especially at the beginning. Her first flurry of efforts were sort of like probably most of the good, authentic nuggets of her creative impulses. Well, RC, green, blue face notwithstanding, it's simply not fair to compare Taylor Swift to Hootie and the Blowfish. Right, but we can at least understand why she's successful. She's pretty enough. Her songs are at least not terrible. It's like it's not impossible to imagine with hard work and the right agent for her to have succeeded without the devil. We're looking at people who couldn't possibly have succeeded without the devil. I mean, could Pearl Jam have succeeded without the devil? They're pretty awful. I mean, that's a lot of unnecessary seriousness, It's like pretty, it kind of makes you just, it's like you can barely get through without tasting vomit in your mouth. But I'm not sure. I think they could have succeeded without the devil, though, possibly. What's a band that's really terrible? Usher. How did Usher succeed? Usher's terrible. Let's see. Who else? Who seems very suspicious? Like, there's no way this person could have succeeded because they're such a, like Tom Arnold. Tom Arnold. Where the fuck did he come from and why and how? Tom Arnold is always just made me kind of go, what in the world? Usher's parents is how Usher succeeded? Oh, okay. Usher lived with P. Diddy as a kid. P. Diddy basically was his mentor. Rumors, shady stuff happened. Let me guess. Grass eater? You link a remarkable amount of subjects back to this. No, Smash Mouth had a super big hit. So that makes sense. They fit the one hit wonder category, kind of, Throwing Muses. How did Throwing Muses going to get to that thing? They're terrible. Let's see here. Okay, so in the stream now. Scottish people, go there and I'll type you before we go to bed. Good night, goodbye, and good riddance. I'm not good riddance. I love you all.